You've heard this instrument a million times. I mean, it's in all the epic movie scores, it's in your favorite fantasy games, and you might even hear it in some pop songs. But its story? That starts way, way back with a simple hunter's bow. Get ready because we're about to dive into the seriously surprising history of the harp.
So let me ask you this. What in the world does a hunter's bow from thousands of years ago have to do with the magical music you hear in movies and video games today? Well, the answer is pretty much the entire origin story of one of the oldest, coolest instruments on the planet.
Just imagine it for a second. It's ancient times, maybe Mesopotamia or Egypt. A hunter pulls back their bow, lets an arrow fly, and hears that awesome twang sound. And in that moment, a light bulb goes off. That single sound, that vibration, sparked the idea for the very first stringed instruments, including the great-great-great-grandparent of the modern harp.
Okay, so how do we get from a simple twang to that huge, angelic sound we all recognize? Let's get into the physics behind it. And trust me, it's way simpler than you'd think.
The real secret to the harp's powerful voice is something called the soundboard. The easiest way to think about it, it's the harp's built-in speaker. It's this big, hollow wooden body that takes the tiny, quiet vibrations from the strings and just cranks up the volume. Without that soundboard, a harp would be so quiet you'd barely hear it.
The whole thing is really just a simple chain reaction. Step 1, you pluck a string with the soft pads of your fingers. Step 2, that string starts vibrating like crazy. Step 3, those vibrations shoot down into the soundboard, our speaker, which then starts vibrating too, pumping out those beautiful sound waves for everyone to hear. Pluck, vibrate, amplify. That's the magic formula.
But wait, how do you get all the different notes? High ones, low ones? Well, it all comes down to the strings. The shorter, thinner strings are kind of like a tiny little bell. They vibrate super fast and give you those high, twinkly notes. And the long, thick strings, they're like a giant bass drum. They vibrate much slower, giving you those deep, rumbling low notes. So really, a harp is just an entire orchestra of sounds, all lined up and ready to go.
All right, so you're ready to play? But first, you gotta choose your character. And yeah, I'm serious. Just like in a video game, there are different classes of harps, and each one has its own special moves and abilities. So who are you going to be? In one corner, you've got the folk harp, or lever harp. This is your scout class. It's smaller, faster, super portable. You change notes by flipping these little levers with your hands. It's perfect for folk music sessions. Then in the other corner, you have the pedal harp. This is your tank. It's enormous, it's powerful, and it's built for the big leagues, like a huge symphony orchestra. Instead of hand levers, you use 7 foot pedals to change the notes, which gives it this massive concert hall-filling sound. So now that we've met the characters, it's time to get into their backstory. We're talking about the lore. Every great legendary hero has one, and trust me, the harp's history is an adventure that spans thousands of years. The journey starts, of course, with that hunter's bow. From there, it leveled up to become a status symbol in ancient royal courts. Later, it became a huge cultural icon, especially in places like Ireland, where it's literally the national symbol. And get this, back in the Middle Ages, before we had the internet or even printing presses, the harpist was the main event. They were the original source for news, stories, and all entertainment.
I love this way of thinking about it. Harpists back then were basically walking, talking hard drives. Before books were a common thing, all the important info, history, legends, news, you name it, was all stored in the memory of these harpists, who shared it through their songs. They were literally the keepers of culture. How cool is that?
Okay, so you've picked your character, you know the lore, now it's time to learn the controls. Let's open up the player's guide for mastering the harp. The very first thing you'll notice is that the harp comes with its own built-in cheat sheet. Seriously, the strings are color-coded, all the C notes are red, and all the F notes are blue or black. Think of it like the user interface or the mini-map in your favorite game. It's right there, showing you exactly where you are so you never get lost. It's pretty genius.
Once you get the hang of the map, you can start to level up your skills. The most famous move is the glissando. You know this sound. It's that dreamy, shimmering slide across the strings you always hear in movies when something magical is about to happen. Then you've got muffling, where you press your hand on the strings to cut the sound short for a dramatic stop. And of course, mastering the basic pluck with the pads of your fingers is the key to getting that perfect, warm, clear sound.
But don't think for a second that the harp is some old, dusty instrument that's just stuck in castles and fairy tales. Oh no, it is alive and well today, and it's popping up in some pretty unexpected places.
So
where is the harp hiding out these days? Well, yeah, it's still a superstar in folk music and, of course, classical orchestras, but it's also a total secret weapon in movie and video game soundtracks, for creating that epic, magical vibe. And believe it or not, it's even making its way into rock and pop music. So how does a harp even begin to compete in a rock band? Simple. You get an electric harp. These things can be plugged into massive amps, just like an electric guitar. This lets a harpist totally shred right next to a heavy drummer and a distorted guitar. It's the ancient instrument, completely reinvented for the modern world.
So if you only take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. The harp is an ancient instrument that has managed to stay cool for thousands of years by constantly adapting, from being the center of storytelling in medieval halls to adding that touch of magic to the music we listen to today.
All right, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Now that you know all its secrets, from its origins as a hunter's bow to its life as an electric rock god, what modern song out there do you think desperately needs an epic harp remix? Let me know what you think. I'd love to see what you come up with. Talk to you next time.